You're listening to What Would You Do, a Wood Window Makeover podcast with your host, Chris, also joined by the founder of Wood Window Makeover, Steve, as each week we'll discuss wood windows, life, and everything in between. Let's get started with the show. So, Steve, my first week working here at Wood Window Makeover, a lot of things going on.
Wait. This is your first week working here? Who are you? What's your name?
Oh, yeah. My name's Chris, and I'm new here to Wood Window Makeover. And those who know Wood Window Makeover, of course, know Steve, the man I'm talking right now, Steve Quillian. I've been with the company since it founded, because he's the founder, all the way back in 2004-ish, rather, 2005?
2004, but yeah, that's when I first started restoring windows in Tampa.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I like sitting here talking to you because I get to learn a lot of things. And one thing I'm learning about is sashes. Like, that is the bread and butter. I'm learning.
You mean those things that you wear around, like, at the prom?
Yes.
That go around, those ribbons that go from the top of the shoulder down to the waist?
Yeah, do people know that we do windows here as a side project, but we actually make the sashes for all of the Miss America pageants.
Yeah, they have the nice gold lettering on them. You know, some of the, my daughter puts the sparkly glitter on them because that's what she loves to do.
It's a family-owned business.
Yeah,
so.
family-owned. So we make cash with windows. Oh, I messed it up.
Window humor right there.
Wow.
But I guess some of the basics I'm running into and talking to people, learning about is when people come to us for a sash or just in general want to do the sash, like, what are the basics that they should be doing to begin with to prep themselves when they walk in here so they know, like, measurement-wise, should they be, like, what is measuring glass? Like, if you've got and I'm going to say 6 light, and people won't know what I'm talking about, that means if you look at your window and it has 6 panes in it, that is a 6 light. So if somebody comes with that and they got to measure each pane, how do they do that?
Well, herein lies a big problem, all right? Is because as anybody who would buy a measuring tape would know, is that, well, it's how do I say, measuring anything is complicated for most people. It really is.
Yeah.
I think that's why that the home stores have capitalized on this idea that all the measuring tapes they sell actually have the fractions printed on the blade of the tape itself, because who knows how to measure anymore, And I think one of the complicated parts of measuring a window is communicating, okay, I stick the end of my tape where? And then I measure to what?
So
okay,
people get confused on where to start then? Like, even like where to put the initial 0 mark?
Yeah.
Wow.
If you look closely at a window, there are lots of places you could put a tape.
Yeah.
There's a lot of corners. Right?
Yeah.
And which corner is it? Is it this corner? Is it that corner?
So you're going corner to corner then. That's the way to measure it properly. It's not side to side or up to down.
Yes. No, there is a side to side, but there is an up and down too. But like, it's probably too much to expect to have somebody, have some kind of measurements before they come in. Now, because the way people measure is all over the map. So I think coming in is how you learn how to measure.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? Because that way we can walk you right up to one of these windows in our museum and say, look, you put your tape here, and you pull it across to there. Okay, and what's that number? Oh, it's 24. See? That's how easy it is. Okay? I try to communicate that over the phone.
Well, that's kind of where this question came from today, as I was talking to somebody who was ordering a sash, and I was trying to explain to them how to measure a window, and for some reason I could not communicate. Like, in my head, I thought I was saying the proper thing, but over the phone they were just missing communication. So I think I'm coming to you today because I'm just trying to figure out, maybe I was being too complicated, maybe I was being too simple in what I was saying, and so I'm coming to you trying to figure out, when you talk to somebody who has no idea windows, they couldn't tell you anything about it, how do you explain to that kind of person how to do these basic measurements to set you up for success? Because you're the one who ultimately is going to have to build the sash.
Well, right. One of the things I've learned is that you can't assume that somebody even knows how to use a measuring tape.
Okay. I get that. It makes sense. Like, I would probably pull out a measuring tape and I think I'm using it right. And probably good odds. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm off by a quarter of an inch because I'm not knowing where to start my measurement at. I'm not knowing how to properly use the fractions. I know you said that there's some people, like very smart people, but when you start giving them fraction math, it's like you're speaking Greek to them, and
No, that's true. If we can get somebody into the museum, and we can show them, that's great. If you can't get them into the museum, we've got videos online that we like to lead people to, and that's our second best bet. But even that's not a foolproof method, to show people how to measure.
And that's eventually what I ended up doing. I sent her to woodwindowmakeover.com. We got the great how-to video section there. Also sent her a direct link, of course, to the video, but she wanted some more information. But ultimately, like Steve said, we do have the new museum here. It's opening up in a couple of weeks on August 6th. And the reason it's here is for educational purposes. Not only to display this great stuff, but also have a place for people to come and learn all these little things.
One of the things that we could do that would help you out is do with you what I would do with a client.
Okay.
Right? And so we would walk up together into a window, and I would just basically go through the spiel. So that way you would have something hard and concrete to copy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That'd be perfect.
That way you're not making it up.
Oh, I never want to do that. So, I think BS usually gets flushed down a toilet. So
sometimes you have to, I wouldn't call it making it up if you're giving it a valiant attempt, to get something that's necessary done.
Yeah.
That's how anybody does it. Chris is looking at me like, just tell me how to measure the frickin' sash. All right? Quit beating around the bush. It's like, okay. I'm thinking. It's coming to me.
Well, this podcast is brought to you during Steve's lunch. So literally, I pull him away from his work for about 20 minutes, and he has to multitask, talk to me, because I'm the slave driver here, making him do content, but also squeeze in his delicious lunch, which, man, you always come in with some great smelling stuff.
And my wife makes it for me. I love it. So say no to corporate lunch.
That's what I do. I got my bag over there. You got a bigger bag than mine, so I'm trying to upgrade my status.
All right, stop feeding the corporate machine. Stop giving them your quarters. Making them more powerful. So make yourself more powerful. There you go. Anyway, guys, look. On a window, you've got the overall area of the glass, right? Now I would say you've got the overall area of the glass and the bottom sash because, well, I'm talking about a double hung window, for example. And in a double hung window, you've got a functioning window frame sash called a sash that goes up and down on the bottom, and you've got one on top of that. It's called the top sash that goes up and down as well. And they kind of cross each other in tracks.
Okay.
Well, guess what? The cool thing about most of those windows, 99% of those windows, are built so that the area of the glass in the bottom sash is equal to the area of the glass in the top sash.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? Because you want it to be equal looking, symmetrical. And so this is why it's so important to get the glass size for your window sash. Because it's the glass size that matters. It's the glass size that you're looking out of. Okay, the wood frame is kind of relative, right? But if you've got two windows side by side and you've got one glass that's one size and another glass that's another size, the human eye, they notice inconsistency. Really, they might not even know what it is, but something will look off. Those pieces of glass need to be consistent from window to window, right? So they're equal, okay? So that's the cool thing. So if you can get the measurement for one sash or the other, it's the same as...
So you're doing the total length. So it doesn't change it if the top sash is 6 frames and the bottom sash is 1?
No. You do the total area.
So, it's the total area of the sash inside of it.
Yeah.
And then we figure out... See, I didn't know that, and that would have been. I think that's maybe where I was confusing the lady, and I did send her the video, which I think will clear up the confusion. So.
Yeah. You see, okay, if you take the individual panes of glass, okay, that's fine, but what happens is you're introducing another variable into the overall size that's unnecessary.
Gotcha.
Okay, because you've got the wood divider in between each individual pane
Yeah.
that's an unknown. Right?
Yeah.
And so, if you've got, like a 10-inch width, on your paint, and they're all 10-inch widths, okay, that's fine. But what is the number in the middle that you're missing that's not glass?
Yeah.
It's that little divider. I don't know. Sometimes it's 7/8, sometimes it's a 1/4 inch, sometimes it's a half, and all that stuff adds up, and so but if you have the overall width,
and then you can adjust your glass, because you need the most glass you'll need, and then you work back from that. You'll cut out where you need to cut out and adjust where you need to fit 4 frames or 4 lights, 6 light, how many lights they end up needing.
Right.
You just need the total width of total area of the sash. You know how much possible glass you could be working with,
right?
And then you work back from there.
Right. I mean, I will ask other questions like, okay, well, how wide are your Muntins? And the Muntins are the technical term for that wood divider between the glass.
Oh.
I can ask that question, okay, and that's an important question to know once you have the overall glass size, okay, because those wood dividers go in first, and then the glass is cut to size in between those.
Now, do you cut the glass here in the shop, or you?
Yeah, we've got everything to cut the glass here in the shop. We cut it by hand. A lot of times, what we'll do is we'll take that full size sheet, lay it right over the top of the sash, and looking through the glass, we'll line it up and we'll score the glass perfectly because you can see where it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
And we can cut it right there in place. No lines. We don't mark out on tape. We don't get a marker. Nothing. We just and it falls right in.
That's amazing.
It's pretty. I mean, it's pretty easy to do. I think to a lot of people it looks like witchcraft.
In my head it's way complicated than it is, and I'm sure once you if I go in the back and you show me how to do it, I'm sure it looks, once I see it, I'll probably be more shocked how easy it was.
It's like totally anticlimactic, I mean, it really is like, let me try it, and then you do it and you're like, we'll all freak out.
It's like Wizard of Oz, right? You get the big flying head, and then they take the curtain away, and it's just a guy back there with some levers, and that's what cutting glass really is. It's probably more daunting until you actually do it and you realize you could have been doing it for years.
Yeah, you really can. That's why like people who are like working on their own windows, I will discourage them from going to like a place like Home Depot or Lowe's, these corporate stores, to get their glass cut for them. I will encourage them to get a couple of extra pieces, oversized, and cut it themselves.
Yeah, learn.
Think about it. The time it takes to go to the store, communicate with the person there at the glass, right?
Yep.
Okay. To get it maybe right or maybe wrong,
Yeah.
I mean, you could spend the same time educating yourself and doing it yourself, and it's not that hard.
Yeah, I mean, you got to bring your measurements. So if you measured it wrong, they're going to cut to your measurements. So if you get back home and you're off by half an inch,
they're going to cut. Yeah, well, they're going to cut to your measurements, maybe.
Oh yeah,
that's their intention, right? Nobody's going to intentionally not cut to your measurements,
Yeah.
but you're introducing another variable.
Yep.
Right. If you take responsibility yourself,
it's one less person, one less chance to miscommunicate.
But, not everybody's cut out for that, Chris, and that's okay. So back to that sash, you measure to the widest point you can on the inside of that sash where that glass goes. Okay, and here's something to know is that in 1920s windows, glass sizes and window sizes had become somewhat standardized. So you will likely find that your glass width and your glass height, for that matter, will end in a 2-inch increment. And that's how the glass was created, put on the trains, shipped, and so so instead of making the windows, or cutting the glass to some random window size, they actually made the windows around the glass size.
And that was at I think Linda, who works here, she mentioned something like in Kokomo, Indiana, right? Mm-hmm. That's where, and then the train would take it down here to Tampa, and that's a big connection there in the Tampa area. Is that all these glass, Kokomo, Indiana being right near Chicago, of course the railroad, Chicago being the heart of the American railroad system because it fed out to the East Coast, the South, the West Coast, and so Kokomo being near there made this product, and then that comes down here to Tampa with the trains, and it's so crazy how all these different parts work together to make windows. Like when you come to the museum, you get to see this great layout of, yes, we make wood windows, but there's all these other industries that came together, like steel, building the railroads, which made the housing boom happen. Which one of my favorite things is the lumber section here. There's this great map, and it shows the lumber in America in the 1600s, and then there's about the 1850s. It's still pretty healthy, and then there's this about 40-year patch where we just went lumber crazy and we stripped the baby down.
Decimated. I mean,
Yeah.
annihilated. I mean, you might as well just set it on fire. But I mean, we did get all the buildings and all the trains and all the steel and all the glass industries out of that, which is, pretty good. And it was actually the best. I mean, because of the confluence of all those industries, we at that point in time, that was when the absolute best buildings, the highest level of craftsmanship, the best design, the architectural heights were reached at that point in time. It was the pinnacle, and that's why I'll talk about our windows as the archetypal window.
Yeah.
Because what you have to understand about the window there, I mean, yes, the glass comes in 2-inch increments, okay, and that's somewhat standardized. But what you have to understand is that emerged over time as the best and fastest and most efficient way to do it. But you know what? People were always looking for the best, the fastest, and most efficient way to do it because, frankly, making something like a window or anything else for that matter was hard.
Yeah.
Think about it. You have to go out into the forest and you have to fell the tree. And that's hard work all in itself. And so people were looking for the most efficient way to fell a tree. I mean, they would sharpen their axe. Why? Because it was more efficient.
Makes it quicker,
to do that. So, it would decrease the number of swings you'd have to take to get the tree to fall. And then you'd split it into sections. You'd mill it down into boards. You'd take some of that wood and you'd make a hand plane. You'd go to the blacksmith to get a blade made so that you could make a window sash plane.
Wow.
And you would take this plane and you would mill it. You'd start to mill the parts. You'd get saws made out of the steel with a wooden handle, and you're always looking for the fastest, most efficient way to do the highest quality product because the work is hard. And why put in the time, work, and effort only so something can fail?
Yeah.
And this is the way that people evolved. They worked to take materials from their environment, put them to their highest use in ways that lasted as long as possible. It was in their best interest. And so people are wired that way. And that's what's so archetypal about the turn of the century houses and the windows.
Yeah.
Is because all of that evolution is encapsulated in this end product that is then mass produced and put all over America. And it was the best that had ever been built. And it's in every building in America, in Canada, in Mexico, from here, it's in Europe, all over. And so,
and that'd be right around the second industrial revolution. That's at Pinnacle.
Yeah.
I mean, back then they're making products with an aim to outlive themselves. They want windows that will, live past them, with some maintenance, of course. You got to maintain things. And it feels like now people are trying to make products that are basically dead on arrival. That they want products that are almost outdated the second the consumer buys them.
It's interesting because, yes, we live in a society like that. We live in a culture where we expect the refrigerator to break in 7 to 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
The washing machine, the car. You have a 5-year note on your car and a car that lasts 5 years. Oh, isn't that interesting?
It's weird.
Right? And that's because as a culture, the people are dealing with a machine that's wired on mining value out of people. Because you know what? All those trees that they established their presence with, that they used to build those big corporations, those are all gone. So you know what they have now? Value now is out of people.
Yeah, we're the trees.
Yeah, we're the trees. And so we're the value that keep producing over and over and over again. And any commodity that they make,
mm-hmm.
It's no longer for the sake of the commodity itself. They used to build a window for the sake of the window, and the sake of the house, and the sake of the people there.
Yeah.
But now that commodity has become merely a tool to access the cash and capital that are bound up in the people. And so that's why, it has to fail in a certain number of years because they have to keep on reaping that, from that crop, which is us. So,
we're, like you said, I mean, we're the trees, we're the what do you call it, the agriculture out there, and you got to plant the seeds, and then hopefully we sprout every 5 years to replace a car, a window. I mean, it's crazy. Like you said, people are conditioned now to be told that windows should be replaced every 5 to 10 years. Oh, the lifespan of a window is this or that. When we know that less than 100 years ago, people are making windows that are made to last longer than them. Made to last 100. I mean, we are running into right now having to replace windows that were made in the 1920s, and they're doing exactly what they were supposed to do. Last, maintained in 100 years, not only outlasting the person they make it, but probably outlasting their kids.
Well, it's because they're being marketed to that way.
Oh, yeah.
People don't come up with those ideas by themselves.
No. No, like you said, there was nobody, I don't know, I'm sure somebody out there's some scholar who studied this, will tell you the exact person and boardroom it happened in, but somebody out there decided, that nobody was making money on things that last. They could only make money on people, and people just need new things to buy. So
that's an interesting thing because, and we'll end with this, is I think the unintended consequence of doing that removes the human spirit out of production, and it takes the artisan out of a role of production. Artisan used to be the heart and soul of any society.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bands growing up was the band Rush.
Oh, Neil Peart, Canadian Gold, man.
I was listening to their album 2112 the other day.
Yeah.
And I can't remember exactly what the whole song was about, but it's like, 1984 or whatever. And people are coming back after a big apocalypse or whatever and rebuilding. And you know who they're relying on? Craftsmen, artisans.
Yeah.
And they're looking at people, to put the human spirit back into things, and because frankly that's what's happening. The artisan is being eliminated.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate when the artisan is eliminated, the spirit goes with them, which is really, it's too bad. So, but that's why we exist here. That's what we do here at Wood Window Makeover. That's why we teach people.
Yep.
That's why we have workshops. Why we invite people into our place. Like next week, we're starting a new job. We're inviting a member of the public at large to come and work with us for an entire week so that we can show him what we do so we can pass on our artisan spirit. So,
when we say open source here at Wood Window Makeover, I mean, it's not just speech. I mean, you'll literally have your competitors have come here, hey, I can't figure this out. You'll show them how to do it so they can complete a job. Why? Because you don't care. It's not a competitor to you. You want to share these techniques. You want these things to live. It's why the museum exists here.
We actually want to help people rather than help ourselves to people.
More people like that. Imagine how nice things to be.
Yeah.
So, well, Steve, thank you you're almost done with the lunch. Mm-hmm. So I think that will wrap us up here on the first. We'll call this podcast 1.0 because we're trying this out. Hopefully everybody enjoyed themselves. Got a little education on it, a little understanding of what we're doing here at WWM. I think the quick plugs are we have the museum opening on August 6th. So if you're in the Tampa area, you can swing on by. woodwindowmakeover.com. We got the events page right there. You can RSVP so we know to make sure we got enough food for everybody. And if you like really good food, Steve's wife is actually catering the event, so you can get a little taste of what he gets for lunch every day. So delicious.
Yeah, I mean, you might even get something better than what I get, But
you get the kids get the good stuff, and you get whatever's left.
Well, you know how it is. I mean, you make dinner, and I get the leftovers the next day.
I got the leftover shepherd's pie that I'm having.
Dude, the leftovers sometimes it is better. You know what I'm saying?
Chili? Oh, I'd rather have chili on the second day than the first day.
Like the third day chili?
Oh, if it lasts that long.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you said today, chili on cornbread, and all I thought to myself is, man, is there a better combination out there?
I don't think so.
No. All right, we're going to leave you hungry on that one. Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for episode 2. This has been another episode of the Wood Window Makeover Podcast. What would you do? Tune in next week as Steve and Chris, that's me, we talk even more about wood windows, life, and probably chili.